Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we're going to take on the other two bosses of the final chapter of the Future Mythos. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So I will say I was extremely surprised that there were two extra bosses at the end. I didn't realize that, and so I didn't actually play it through. I just woke up this morning and I thought I would finish the story, and there we are. These two bosses are fought back to back, and so be very, very aware that you need to bring an appropriate team in order to take it on. I did bring my team that I used for the first fight, and I did upload that against the original Cardinal Vestige. Now we are taking on Cardinal Vengence, and this one has a very unique mechanic. So you see that glowing sun eclipse orb. If you look at the taboo, just make sure you follow the instructions and don't do what it's blocking. So in this case, the first turn, they say don't use another force, and if you don't use or you avoid the taboo, it'll actually boost the appropriate amount. So for example, in this case, if you don't do another force the first turn, it'll reward you with a blessing. And in the case of the blessing, it'll give you extra AF bar. Now the second one will be the no healing one. And so if you don't heal, it'll actually heal you at the end of turn. That is, if you can survive the existing attacks from the Cardinal Vengence. In this case, I didn't really know what to expect, so I actually did a large 2-turn AF, and I just, like I said, doesn't look like there's any resistances or weaknesses. Just like the end of the first boss, the minions had obviously their own absorption and resistances. However, this one doesn't. That being said, this one does have a 50% HP stopper. I used the AF as usual to set up everything, and it did heal. Unsure of what would happen when I broke that taboo, so to speak. So I'll show you exactly what happens if you do this. Just like before, I would expect that a good free slash team would be more than adequate to control it. Someone with Kid to obviously have the dual debuff. You can clearly see that by breaking that taboo, it damages you quite a bit. And if you kill the Eclipsed Sun, it will resummon it, and you'll have another one, and obviously it'll have its own kind of taboo. In this case, I was able to just punch right through, although I did lose a unit, and so it wasn't the most elegant. I was actually quite surprised that there was a bust there, so I do apologize for not having quite a clean fight. Now, right after you kill that, you're not able to escape, and there's a little bit more storyline, and then unfortunately you have to face the male version of the Black Clad Swordsman, aka Dawn Curio. So know that Dawn Curio has some unique effects. It can put an orb on you that reduces your crit ability, as well as obviously it has some shielding. It does counters when hit with a physical attack, and you can't dispel that. And note that it also starts right away with a physical increase. And so based on that alone, I would highly recommend bringing, like I said, if you're bringing a physical team, keep in mind that it automatically will counter those. So a magic team with some dual debuffs, probably obviously a Starkey-led team, or even any other high-level mitigation should be enough. I would say of the 3 fights, this one was probably the least difficult. That being said, because it is back-to-back, and you're very much likely to be not left at full health, you have to be very careful not to get killed here. And you can see that without enough mitigation, you are taking about anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 in hits, in which case, unfortunately, at my low health, my Nakoko died. Keep in mind that this team, Nakoko was my primary healer, and she's not able to heal nearly as much, only 1,500 in weapon type zones instead of the elemental type zones. Again, was very surprised and not sure what to expect. If you're wondering why it's not a very elegant fight, I don't try not to look up any sort of team comps or strategy guides for this. I want to actually be surprised as to what to expect, and so hopefully you'll learn from my mistakes and not be unprepared for this kind of fight. Again, dual debuff is very important. So even though my team wasn't fully ready, I do still have a dual debuffer in the form of Azami. Obviously, we can apply mainly physical type power downs, as well as we do have a judgment on our team from Manifested Renri. Normally, Manifested Renri is actually there to carry Grasta for my axe-wielding team. However, it is okay. She can still apply debuffs even if we don't need her for DPS. Now, one thing to note is that there's actually some dialogue here in between the fights. I didn't cut it out, and I will actually, when I do the story walkthrough, I will have all those clips reloaded back into the main story fight. So hopefully that'll be okay. All right. So note that the background is changing. I'm not really sure about the Forbidden Song or Paradise Lost. However, obviously it's affecting extra debuffs on your team. So if you look at the icons, we do have the power and int down on your team. And also that red orb, which is the reduced crit ability, is still there. You can see that Kiro does have at least 1 HP stopper, and in my experience has 2 HP stoppers around the 30 and 70% HP marks. Again, you can note that the absolute amount of HP is not that high. This is, after all, just a storyline version of the boss. As much as we can say is quite difficult, if you're well prepared, I don't think you're going to have any problems beating it. If you go in and be surprised, you're probably going to have to tinker around with it just a little bit. Especially since now you know that there are 2 bosses back to back. Luckily, you're able to heal in between the first one and the last 2. And unfortunately, now I've lost 2 units just based on the fact we don't have any healing. And so at this point, I wasn't sure if there was an HP stopper, so I didn't activate my AF. I should have just gambled and done it. However, just want to be safe on here, and with the judgment, and obviously we also used Origin Force, which was upgraded from beating Ogre and Horm Light. We're not really taking too much damage, so I wasn't too worried about dying here. And I was waiting for AS Kikyo to come out from her stun. Her stun happened because her overdrive faded, which is one of obviously her minor disadvantages. Otherwise, the fight is over. Alright, so as usual, the loadout is shown here at the end of the video. We had to finish the entire episode in order to show that, so thank you for your patience. Let me know in the comments below what teams you used to beat the fights. I know some of you have mentioned your own teams, and I'm actually curious, did you guys actually experiment with it, or did you look it up? I will say, the fight was quite interesting, and although slightly challenging, very fun to experiment with it and see what kind of mechanics we were up against. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.